going to first introduce our first speaker, which is going to be Ashley Harris. She is a passionate healthcare provider, a nurse practitioner, and an advocate for Black maternal health. And because of her personal experiences with motherhood, that really deeply influenced how she support and advocate for her patients. So I want to go ahead and have Ashley hop on and then tell us a little bit about the work that you do and what is your pregnancy experience or journey?
Thank you so much for that introduction. Again, my name is Ashley Harris. I am a certified family nurse practitioner. I've been in the nursing field for about almost 15 years. So my journey with just maternal health, started just as a nursing student, learning about motherhood and what it means to give birth and have a baby. And I never thought that was possible for myself. So becoming a mother was it was just really an enlightening experience because my journey with disparity started well before I even became pregnant. So I had largely been ignored and dismissed for years before I became pregnant. I knew that there was something just not quite right. I had a lot of questions, and my doctor just said, you're in school, you're becoming a nurse practitioner, you're just stressed. And realistically, my body was telling me that something else was wrong. So developing that rapport and relationship with the OBGYN was really already deeply rooted in mistrust. So by the time I became pregnant, I really did not know how to navigate the health system, even as a healthcare provider myself, because my experience had really just not been a good one. I had a pituitary tumor, something that is in my brain that could not be removed. And I had that for several years, knew that something was wrong, and no one could give me that answer. And it really took for me to advocate for myself during that process. That I knew that when I became pregnant, if I had any misgivings, that I would have to really fight just because I knew what my experiences had been with my OBGYN before. So my pregnancy experience largely was uneventful up in until my third trimester. I began experiencing pelvic pains, abdominal pains, headaches. My blood pressure was up and down, and my doctor just told me that it's normal pregnancy symptoms. Your blood pressure is fine when you're in the office. Just monitor. You're fine. My birthing experience was probably even worse than that. I was ignored for hours by the nursing staff. My blood sugar was so severely low that I was having full, like, rigorous chills. I was vomiting. I honestly thought I was going to die. And no one felt any sense of urgency when I was reporting my symptoms. Um, Thankfully, my daughter arrived well, but I did not feel good myself. I was exhausted. My blood pressure was still not normal, and I kept asking my nursing staff, my blood pressure is elevated. Are you, telling the doctor this? And they would just tell me, just adjust your position. You just have to calm down. Your blood pressure is fine. Several days after giving birth, I ended up in urgent care because I had half of my face was drooping to one side. I could not talk. My face was numb. As a health professional, I knew exactly what I had, but it was still very startling to know. But I went to urgent care, thought, I know what this is. I really don't want to deal with my OBGYN because it's just been such a disaster. And they found that my blood pressure was, I mean, just dangerously high. I had swelling all the way up to my thighs, and ended up being diagnosed with postpartum eclampsia, which is life-threatening, as Neshe said earlier. I ended up being admitted into the hospital as well, had to be treated for that. And even as I laid there questioning my mortality and if I was even going to survive the night with a newborn child, the OBGYN came into the room and said, I don't even know why you were admitted. They should have just given you blood pressure medicine and sent you on your way. It was really heartbreaking. It was devastating because as a nurse practitioner, not only were these people who were my colleagues, it was the health system I worked in. I walked those halls just like them, and to be just so easily dismissed and treated that way just really broke my heart. And it largely influenced my next steps with my career path. And I left the health system altogether, kind of rerouted myself. I still continue to advocate for patients and people that I met, but I just needed a change for myself. So although I have changed professionally, I still strongly advocate. A lot of my circle are OBGYNs, my friends, who are, Black mothers who advocate for Black women who are mothers or who are expecting mothers or who want to be mothers. What I found helped me the most was social media, ironically. But that is, I feel like people speak very freely there. And so I was able to find myself in spaces where I could share my story, where I really had not talked about it a lot with people, even close friends and family for years, had no idea what I experienced during my birthing process. So um, I encourage other Black women, brown women to advocate for themselves when you become pregnant early on, to trust your instincts, seek second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions if you have to. Really advocating for yourself, family, friends, whoever is closest to you. And then as a professional, I do encourage people to make sure to document everything, like every single symptom, keep it in a notebook. Make sure to really communicate well with your healthcare providers. And then I take a lot of time looking for healthcare providers. It's not something I used to do, but now I do a lot of research. I look to see what other people say about them, the reviews that are out there, because I want to find people who are culturally competent, who I know are going to care about me as a Black woman, because that can make a significant difference in the care that I receive. So those are some of the things that I educate other women on, just really advocating for yourself. I can educate, I can share my experience, but you as the woman you have to advocate for yourself in these situations. Do not take no for an answer. Kick down doors, break down windows, whatever you have to do to get people to listen to you. Kick, scream. I've done it. And that's just how we have to be, to make sure that our needs are being heard by these healthcare professionals. One of the other things that I wanted to bring to light as well are just some organizations that do exist that I didn't know about until I started really pushing for advocacy for maternal health. But some of the things that I found helpful are some support groups, some like Postpartum Support International, Black Mamas Matter Alliance. They are like a community, like a networked kind of system where there's multiple different organizations from across the country that are aligned on the same matters of maternal health, which are good. And then one thing that I did have to ultimately do was a couple years later, but really finding a good mental health professional, um, someone that could provide good counseling, therapy, because the birthing experience, that trauma can be very long lasting. I know for me it was as well. And I needed to unpack that so that I could be free, so I could feel secure in myself. It comes with a lot of doubts and questioning, some anxieties as well. So there's a strong mental health component that also comes with having a traumatic birthing experience. And so that's something that I also really recommend as well. Is just finding someone that you can talk to if you need to. But again, as a nurse practitioner, it's really a weird experience being in the health system and then seeing what other health providers, how they can be. So I strongly, strongly, strongly advocate for us as Black women, as Black mothers, as a sister, friend, aunt, whatever it is that you call yourself. We have to come together, make our voices loud. That is the only way that we are going to be able to see the change that we want, is truly through the advocacy work that we can bring to make this more, put this more out there for the world to see that we are people and we have to be treated as such. So
I love that. So in the comments, in the chat, let me know by just dropping a one, like, have you experienced something similar to Ashley? I know I'm a one. I'll let y'all know that because, like she mentioned, I worked in the healthcare space, and to actually see exactly how they was comfortable enough, and she didn't know me, but it's that shows us an issue, right? So you see all the ones of like, the people who actually experience that. It's heartening, right? It's heartening. So Ashley, I know you mentioned a lot of resources, right? You mentioned Black Mamas Matter Alliance, like they're amazing. But I want to get deep into your experience of how do you build that confidence to be able to really say something, right? Because you are a healthcare professional, we can bite back, we can have a little bark back, right? When it comes down to our colleagues. But for some women or birthing people that are not comfortable, that don't have experience in that space, how could you say that they can build that confidence to advocate for themselves when they feel like something is not right?
yeah. So what I said first is really trusting those instincts. It's the small voice. When that voice says something is wrong, something is wrong. Your intuition about your body is so vital. It is so important. I know as a health professional, doctors, white coats, as we call them, sometimes in the health field, that it can be intimidating. We are socialized to believe that our doctors know more than us, but nobody knows more about you than you. And so we have to just stand in that. Sometimes it takes a little while to kind of get that comfortability. So even though it makes make you seem afraid, your bark might not be that big. Listen to your body. When you know that there is something wrong, do not hesitate to say something, because oftentimes when we delay speaking up, it sometimes is too late. And we are the ones that pay the price for that. So we have to just trust our gut, trust it. I'm gonna make a little joke, because as Black women, sometimes, people will say, girl, you knew he was cheating on you, and what did you want to do? You were ready to fight, throw hands, do all of that. I need you to give that same energy to your doctors, to your healthcare providers. That same bag you want to hop out when he get in the attitude, you got to hop out that bag on your doctors. And it's okay, because nobody else is going to stand up for you at the end of the day. You are going to be your loudest voice in that room. And like I said, if you have to kick, scream, get a second opinion, third opinion, that's just what you have to do to make sure that your voice and your concerns are being heard.
That's powerful because that's real. That is so real. The fact that you, listen, we be ready to fight for all other reasons, like meet me outside, like what's up? But when it comes down to our health, it looks different, right? So I love that. We can take one question. Do anybody have a question for Ashley? Okay. All right. So if y'all have any questions, anything come up, please put it into the chat. We have somebody that's monitoring, so they'll be able to support and making sure that we don't miss it. But thank you so much. Please, oh, hold on, before you were diagnosed with your health condition post your pregnancy, did you experience any racism? Do you believe the stress that you experienced led to your health condition?
So before I was diagnosed with my health condition, um, so there was only really one thing that was going on. I was actually in school to become a nurse practitioner. At that time, I felt relatively like fine. I just knew that there was something not quite right. But I did feel dismissed by my health provider. She was also a nurse practitioner. And ironically, she was training me for my women's health rotations. And so I kind of felt very slighted because I knew her personally. And she just kept saying, "You're fine, you're fine, you're fine." The center that I worked in was like very in an urban area. So a lot of our patients were Black or brown women. And so I was like, well, do you treat everybody like this? Like, I'm telling you, something is wrong. I don't know that she was overtly being racist, but I definitely think that she had some biases that was influencing the way that she was treating me. It was easy to say, "You're a Black stressed woman. That's what's wrong with you." When in reality, I actually had a real health condition that needed to be treated, and something that I needed to be educated on, because that condition also could have had very long lasting detrimental results if I had not found out what it was. But I do believe that that process made me more stressed. It was 2 years before I actually was diagnosed. And during that time, I was just so stressed out. I actually stopped going to doctors as a nurse, a nurse in school. I stopped seeking health care because I had been so, I mean, it was months of just, "There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you." I had gone to several doctors. Nobody could tell me anything, and they just kept telling me, "You're in school, you've gained a little weight, you need to lose weight, it's fine, you'll be fine." So it definitely influenced the way that I felt about the healthcare system. It influenced the way that I moved in the healthcare system. And I think that it did not help my health condition, but I think my health condition just was what it was, even without that extra stress, but it definitely did not help.
Thank you for sharing that. And these are some questions that we don't think about until it happens, right? So I thank you for sharing that, Ashley.